Hello, Meoni here, and welcome to my summary of patch 7.2 Seekers of Eternity's live letter part 86. We're using the official or unofficial translations unofficially provided by the Final Fantasy XIV subreddit Discord. A link in the description of this video will take you to join that community. It's always a pleasure to have this form of translation at hand so easily for content creation, so many thanks to them for their efforts as usual. FoxClan and Yoshi P sit down to start the live stream. Apparently some people are misunderstanding that Yoshi P is no longer the executive in Square Enix and such, but it's actually no change, says Yoshi P. If anything, it just got some shifts around in roles and so on. Some non-Japanese even commented that, quote, Yoshi P got his wish for no longer being an executive, end quote. Yoshi P laughs, because people really are making up things about him when there's none of the sort of thing happening, he says. Regardless, he's still going to do his best to deliver fun games to his audiences, and he hopes for your continuous support. So any videos you've seen from creators with clickbait thumbnails saying to the otherwise are pure fabrications and are simply untrue. First of all then, we have a trailer which looks incredible. There'll be a breakdown of that straight after this video. Soken apparently was screaming for help because there were so many scene changes in the trailer with voices, background music and sound effects, and apparently Yoshi P says, I think we only finished this trailer last night. The release date will of course be the 25th of March, as many people, including myself, predicted. This will actually contain 24 hours of maintenance. So a bit of recap time then. So obviously in 7.2 the narrative story of Dawntrail continues with 7.2's MSQ. This contains the brand new dungeon, the Underkeep, as well as the new trial Recollection, or Zarania in the Japanese version, with both normal and extreme difficulties of that trial available. The Arcadion raid continues with the Cruiserweight tier. The Savage will release 1 week after 7.2's launch, so that gives us a Savage release date of the 1st of April. So April Fools, let's go into Savage. Crafting gear will release with 7.2 itself, so you can prep in time for Savage. Frontline Secure returns with various improvements, they say. Hell's Kier Unreal also comes out in this patch, and there's a new Corn Servant set of side quests if you like that little character. PvE and PvP job adjustments. Most of this information will be included in the patch notes to save time, so don't expect anything here, but just as a general rule. But melee DPS apparently will be getting a DPS buff in PvE, and Yoshi P says it might be more difficult to keep uptime. Yoshi P also says, we tried so hard not to nerf Picto, but we have to, and we confirm Pictomancer will be nerfed in 7.2. So there we go. There will be new role actions exclusive to large-scale PvP. We have new Disciple of War and Magic crafted gear in 7.2. New duty support will be in 7.2 for the Sunken Temple of Khan dungeon, and there'll also be the Allegan Tomes of Mathematics, replacing Heliometry as your top reward tome. Cosmic Exploration will release in 7.21, which is about a month after 7.2, and Shade's Triangle a month after that with 7.25. The Mamul Jar Society quest will also release in 7.25, as well as Hildebrand will also get his release in 7.25, and that's pretty much it for the brief overview. So the first dive into content is with the Arcadion Part 2, the Cruiserweight tier, with the first fight, then in-game footage. This fight is basically a disco, and this is your first floor. Apparently in Japanese, this character's name is Dancing Green. The edge of the room is death, as usual, and it looks pretty good. Those spell effects from the actions the boss does are kind of like musical visualizations, showing your usual cleaves and timing to count how many times it cleaves a certain direction. It's pretty cool as a first look. We don't see too much beyond that. Yoshi P says, so usually it will be enough to just pass a mechanic, but maybe this time we have some sort of perfect bonus if everyone does it right. So very much like Suzaku, it'll probably give you a buff if everybody does the mechanics correctly, which is pretty cool. They show off the gear previews then for the Arcadion. We've got tanks first, then we've got monk and samurai, then we've got aiming, then we've got scouting, then we've got maiming, then we've got healing, And then we've got casting. I'm personally not a fan of these on paper, but maybe they'll look better in the game. For PvP updates then, the role actions exclusive to large-scale PvP. Players may select one of 3 actions available for each role. The selected action can be changed at the starting area, even after this match begins. These are the role actions then. You'll notice that Stone Skin makes a return, which many people in chat were happy about, with Rampage, Swift, Comet, and Dervish. Improvements to the Borderlands Ruin Secure map itself then, the first slide, up to 72 players can be divided into teams of 24, so 3 teams. Increase your team's tactical rating and be the first team to attain the designated score. Tactical rating can be increased in the following ways: occupying any of the 9 key locations, battling against Allagan weaponry, and defeating enemy players. In terms of occupying those 9 areas, a team can occupy a key location when they are the only team in its vicinity for a short period of time. Tactical rating acquisition rate increases depending on the number of key locations occupied, and the enemy team's key locations can also be claimed. New key location buff Sheer Will is added. This makes key locations grant a massive damage buff to all players in their vicinity, regardless of the occupying team. Battling against the Allagan weaponry then, after a certain amount of time, Allagan weaponry will appear at the center of the map, granting an opportunity to quickly raise your team's tactical rating. There are also now teleporters, and after a certain amount of time, these teleporters, 3 of which will spawn on the outskirts of the map and will be accessible for immediate transportation to the center of the map. Yoshi P says, going middle always used to be a difficult choice to make with how much time it took to get there, so we added teleporters. 3 locations, they will be enabled after a certain period of time. They show off here 2 mounting whilst moving. This is a brand new feature, not just to PvP. It says, they say it only took us 10 years to do this. So this actually is amazing. You can literally just run around and it does the cast bar as you're moving, so you can mount whilst moving. Very, very cool. Yoshi P says, we have 10 years of muscle memory and people will stop to summon their mount still. It will take some time getting used to. They then briefly show off the PvP role actions. As you can see, where to find them in the UI. Yoshi P says you set this one PvP role action button to your hotbar, and depending on which one you select, the button will change. This then is a cast of Comet, which apparently cannot be interrupted once cast, so obviously you could die mid-cast of that to interrupt it, but that's the only way. New Tomestone gear then. This is the fending gear. This is the maiming gear. This is your samurai and monk gear. Your aiming gear. Your Viper here with scouting, your healer, and your casting gear. Still, not a massive fan of that either, apart from maybe the fending set. But yeah, Cosmic Exploration then, let's dive into this. So how do you start this? You unlock this feature by completing the main scenario quest for Endwalker. That's all, you don't need Dawntrail. This is accessible by Disciples of Hand and Land level 10 and above. There will be a level adjust sync for any solo quest within. A separate inventory is given to you for Cosmic Exploration so it doesn't clutter up your inventory. With the in-game footage then, this shows Yoshi P in a spacesuit on the moon, which is the first of many planets or bodies that we will be colonizing. There's a new UI similar to Island Sanctuary, and if you've done that, you will remember this. It looks very similar. When you first arrive here, there will be nothing, says Yoshi P. He continues, what happens to Tails in the suit? They will be hidden. This is a response to people asking about Tails. It has its own sprint called Cosmo Sprint, and this is actually a permanent sprint for the area that you can toggle on and off, which is quite handy. You get your own digital tablet, and these Cosmo missions are generally solo content that you can do. As you can see, there are mining nodes that are required here for this particular Cosmo quest, and you can progress these like leave quests, so it's very similar to that. Then you turn in a quest on your tablet, get your rewards, and there you go. You don't have to go back to base. You can turn it in wherever You are. Yoshi P says this is the most basic sort of mission, and once you reach the gold rating in a mission, it will end. There are also emergency alerts. These are emergency missions. Yoshi P demonstrated this with a GM command. This is a meteor storm for the base. When the gauge at the top is filled, he says, which fills by everyone doing their missions, the emergency will end. Each step will give rewards, but extra rewards at the end. Right, moving on to Mecha Operations. So the way this works, as you can see on the top of the screen there is a fate symbol on the mech as well, and this pops up occasionally. You can click on this tablet and you can click to join. This puts you into a queue where you're randomly selected to be the mech pilot. There are mecha supporters and pilots. If you apply here to be a pilot, you'll need a ticket, and you can buy those with the moon credit currency. If you don't get picked as a pilot, your ticket will be returned to you. Your chances of being picked rise the more you get unlucky to fail through the application. So similar to the duel system in Bosja, basically. As you can see, Yoshi P is flying over in this cutscene to the area for the operation, and then Yoshi P switches over to the point of view of a supporter instead. As you can see, the supporter runs around with this weapon and gathers rocks and brings them back to a camp area. Now we tab back to being the actual mech from the other point of view, and as you can see, Yoshi P shoots the crystals to harvest these materials, these crystals, and brings them back the same way. There's a big charged beam as well that fills up, similar to the Aetheromatic Auger, if you remember from the diadem, that collects lots of crystals all at once. There's a return button, much like in Island Sanctuary, that will take you back to the base instantly, and this is known as Cosmic Fortune, which is like the Kupo of Fortune system from the Ishgard restoration. This time around, instead of scratch-off tickets, this is a roulette wheel of prizes. There is new dies, Yoshi P mentions, new metallic dies, so one of which we see here is metallic cobalt green. That's what it's called. That's pretty exciting to see new die palettes. And there also appears to be a new metallic red shown here as well. Very cool. Lots of new rewards here, as you can see here. Lots of minions, mounts, emotes, fashion accessories, whatever. You spin the wheel and get lucky or unlucky. Yoshi P got the jackpot item on his first spin, because of course he did. This is a coffer of glamour. They don't show this off, but it looks to be interesting. Yoshi P says, we did a test drive before this stream and I didn't win anything. Why don't I have this luck during Mahjong, he says. You can see here there's mounts, emotes, dies, parasols, minions, and then Yoshi P proceeds on his next spin to win one of the mounts. This is most definitely rigged. Everyone jokes in chat. It looks like a lot of fun, and I can't wait to dive into that personally and collect all of those rewards to show off. Back then to the PowerPoint, currencies are earned from the missions. Cosmo credits can be exchanged for various rewards, and the other currency, Lunar credits, can be used to purchase those cosmic fortunes. This is a lottery system featuring various items, and they can also be exchanged for a ticket to join Mech Ops instead if you don't actually want to spin the wheel. Mech Ops are regularly occurring large-scale operations comprised of mech pilots and ground support units. The two groups coordinate on missions to gather as many minerals as possible, as well as removing obstacles for the progression of the zone. Those who wish to pilot a mech must exchange lunar credits for a pilot application ticket, and up to 5 applicants can be randomly selected. There are, however, no limits to the number of people who can participate as a ground support, however. On occasion, unusual weather phenomena can occur during what's caused a red alert. Players must band together to complete designated objectives within a limited amount of time. And Yoshi P says, as I said during the last live letter, we're on the moon during this patch. We'll be somewhere else in the next update. Also, in that live letter, we discussed whether or not we wanted to have some form of ranking in this activity. With that in mind, they show off this, which is the Star Contributor reward. Scanning Way, an NPC, will tally each player's level of contribution on the Cosmic Exploration Initiative every other day. There's a schedule, as you can see on screen. Completing Cosmic Exploration activities within this tally period will increase your level of contribution, irrespective of the class used. The player who contributed the most within a 24-hour tally period will be awarded with the status of Star Contributor immediately following that tally period. Then, for 14 days, the following will apply to that contributor. A hologram of the player in their current gear will be projected in base camps. Their name will also be displayed on the bulletin board within those base camps, and they will be unable to receive another Star Contributor reward for another 14 days. So bear that in mind. It's a way of recognition that was missing sorely from the Ishgard restoration. Originally, they were going to do statues in there. They didn't do it. It turns out they're doing it here instead. It doesn't say that there's any titles or achievements associated with Star Contributor, so you don't have to be too crazy about it. Back in the game then, you can see this projected buff on our character here with the logo for Cosmic Exploration. This apparently is the effect that gets awarded to that Star Contributor for 14 days, so you'll be able to distinguish them from other people, and you can see a maximum of 7 people at one time considering that 14-day period. They show the hologram, as you can see here, with Yoshi P on that pedestal. You can interact with this to inspect the various most valued players. This also allows for the person who is the MVP to change your hologram's pose, for example. Yoshi P and Foxconn actually say here, remember that you can actually choose to do this content from level 10 onwards for leveling, so there's a good chance that some low-level characters could be on these plinths as well as somebody who's level 100, for example. On to relics for gatherers and crafters then. These are known as the Cosmic Tools. This is a new relic series. Players can earn the Cosmic Tools immediately from the start of Cosmic Exploration. This quest will become available when you load in there. Even when not equipped, players can enhance these tools, increasing their item level by simply progressing through various missions. So this is a lot different than previous tools. A lot simpler, maybe? It depends how much EXP you get per mission, I guess. As the worlds then in Cosmic Exploration change, the development of a star progresses separately by world. Exploration and survey of a star can only be performed on your home world, so there's no jumping to other worlds and helping their servers out. You have to be on that server as a home resident, and star contributors are also selected by world as well, so there's one for Ragnarok, one for Odin, etc. Explore new planets in each major patch. They list here 3 more worlds to conquer in the future, with the next one in 7.3x series, 7.4x series, and after that finally 7.5x series for the 4th and final planet or star. And there we go. That's pretty much the content schedule for that. They go on a small break now, and when we return, we're back into the Occult Crescent as the main deep dive. So how do you start the Occult Crescent then, the new field content in 7.25? This is unlocked by completing the main scenario quest Dawntrail. So you do actually need to have completed Dawntrail's MSQ, and you must have reached level 100 on a combat job. In 7.3, we're going to have a new deep dungeon, so that's going to be used for leveling of jobs for those people who are concerned that this is not for leveling. So just bear that in mind. They do have plans for a deep dungeon in 7.3. That's why the Occult Crescent starts at level 100. So rather than using the duty finder, players must speak with a designated NPC to enter, much like when you're queuing Kagane to enter Eureka, for example. The Occult Crescent is split into various instances, with each instance having up to 72 players able to join. When you're in a party, the whole party will actually join the same instance when you queue. There's a feature called a knowledge level. This is your separate leveling system used within the Occult Crescent, and the difference between your level and that of enemies will greatly influence damage dealt as well as taken. Upon being knocked out at knowledge level 5 and above, you will actually lose experience points when not revived by another player. So if you are knocked out at level 5 or above knowledge, you should probably use the shout chat and ask for a raise and put your coordinates. Losing too many EXP points will actually result in you leveling down, much like in previous field content, the level down system obviously making you go down a level when you reach, sort of negative EXP on your bar. In-game footage time then, as you can see, Yoshi P zones in. This is the first of the zones then. We're in this camp with an aetheryte. There are various vendors around and other NPCs to talk to. There will be quests once you reach certain levels, much like the other field content. Presumably these will be similar to Bosgia and Eureka, where you have to discover where the objective is yourself by reading. So we'll probably do guides on that in the future, you can be sure. So as you can see, the freelancer support job is actually default selected here. This is the default when you arrive here for the first time. You'll be given freelancer. If you actually click on this, you can see what support actions you get given to you. And if you click another button here, you can select from the other support jobs. Phantom Bard, for example, here, Phantom Knight, Phantom Monk, and Phantom Time Mage. There will be 12 support jobs, Yoshi P says. The first quest will unlock 3 of them. The rest will be unlocked through the exploration and progression of the Occult Crescent. Each one, as you can see, has its own independent levels. So if you level up Time Mage, it doesn't level up Phantom Knight. You have to do each of those, obviously, all of them to get all of them leveled up. So bear that in mind. So the idea is pick what you want and level them up anyway. You want them all leveled up eventually. They all have their own skills as well. Yoshi P switches to Time Mage for this demonstration. This changed the support actions available. There are, in addition to your regular job abilities on a separate bar, they're given this, it's kind of like your own rotatable button on screen. This was to actually prevent button bloat for your regular bars, for console players, etc. But you can still, of course, drag these onto your bars default if you want to instead. So you're not forced to use this rotatable bar, but obviously this is to prevent you having to find space on your bars, which is nice. Yoshi P ventures out into the field then, and there's the map, which is pretty big. You can see there are various fates on the map, as well as critical engagements. They make a return. This zone is about the same size as you would expect maybe to find in Eureka High Dartos, something like that. There are 4 aetherites for easy travel around the map, and the slight difference here is that you can use all of these aetherites at level 1. If you go over to them and sneak past monsters and don't die, you can unlock those immediately by touching them at the start of the content. This is actually to prevent you being behind your groups if you're chaining together fates or, notorious monsters, that sort of thing, critical engagements, so that you're not left behind when someone else teleports to the other side and starts a fate. This is obviously a departure from Eureka, where you had to reach certain levels. They've realized that that was a bit annoying, so they've made it more accessible this way. Yoshi P fights a lion here just to show basic combat, and then they show a critical encounter that spawns. This big blue circle appeared both on the map and in the game. You actually need to stand on this pulsing circle, and then the encounter will start with everyone who was stood there after a set sort of timer. This is also a good place, they say, to form parties for it if you wish to. And as you can see, it teleported him inside when the timer ran out into the critical encounter itself. As you can see, Yoshi P has some abilities, but there's no way he can solo this in his current form as a Black Mage Time Mage, so he dies getting royally stomped on here. They say they have a lot of these boss encounters prepared, and some of them, they say, are quite difficult, so I'm looking forward to that. Depending on the support jobs, some effects apply to all of your party members, they mention, so there will always be a variety of ways to use them, so much like the Logos actions, etc. It'll be a bit of a tactical decision of what job you choose, what phantom job, support job, and what abilities are used, and obviously you unlock more of those, the higher level you get those support jobs. The Crescent Isle note feature is very much like field instance notes from Bosgia, and you will be able to fill them all in like with previous content, presumably with a mount reward for doing them all again, like in Bosgia, so I guess that's going to be another mount guide we do. Back to the PowerPoint then, battles on the Occult Crescent. The higher a fiend's knowledge level is above yours, the harder it will be to defeat, but the rewards will be all the greater for the challenge. So the EXP chains make a return for the bonuses. Defeating high rank enemies with this symbol, so like a whirlwind on its head, as you can see here, in quick succession will initiate an EXP chain, granting increased rewards. They say you can form a party to quickly defeat enemies to get more of these EXP chains and level efficiently. So there's also the knowledge level sync. If all members of a party are within 3 knowledge levels of each other, the party will be designated a balanced party, eligible for those EXP gains and chains. If a member is 4 or more levels apart, players may use a sync button, which is brand new, to actually sync the party's knowledge level to become a balanced party. This synchronizes everyone down or up to that specific level, and as you can see here in game, the game is telling you that your party is unbalanced because Yoshi P is in a group with a level 2 when he's level 6. He pressed the sync button and now the party is balanced just like that, and it brings him down to level 5. This is a great idea that will make it so that you're not penalized by playing with people who join the content at a later time, or they may or may not be the same knowledge level as you. Honestly, this is something many of us who loved Eureka hoped to see added, and it's nice to see it here. This is something that would future-proof this content into the far future for people of all different levels. So there is the chain symbol, as you can see on the bar there on the UI. Killing one mob, then going into another, killing that ups the meter, and there's the chain going up, as you can see, up to level 2, level 3, etc., giving you more EXP and knowledge EXP at the same time. So back to the PowerPoint. Fates then. So this is the type of content in there. Fates, obviously, these occur around the Isle and can be challenged by an even smaller number of players than usual. Players can also join fates that are already started, much like in the normal world. Then we have critical encounters, which are the large-scale battles against powerful bosses with no restrictions on the amount of players that can participate. Where and when these encounters will appear is displayed beforehand on the map, and in the game you've got that blue circle to stand in, and then you get sucked in. Then there's the Forked Tower, which is a 48-player dungeon. Up to 48 players can challenge this dungeon, featuring numerous bosses. Players must use a special item to gain entry, so much like the Baldessian Arsenal in Hydatos. To gain entrance then, as you explore the Isle, players can acquire these things called ciphers. When 16 or more players use these ciphers at a designated location, an ethereal node will activate. This will teleport them into the tower's halls after a brief period of time. Should more than 48 players be standing upon the ethereal node, players will be randomly selected for teleportation, but it will favor those who have used ciphers first, giving them a higher chance of being selected. So this will be a bit of a free-for-all for this content. Interesting to see how Late Night Discord and a few other places do this, but I'm excited to see what the content feels like and how they deal with this, honestly, as a community across the board. Yoshi P says they are raising restrictions in the content. Some support jobs can bypass those and raise, so you will need to have support jobs prepared. You don't need to finish the story to enter this, and we expect the prog to take a bit, and the first clear is to be having very serious discussions about mechanics. So it's going to be like Baldessian, basically. There's also a feature called Treasure in the Wild. Should you happen upon any treasure chests whilst traversing the wilds, its spoils are yours to keep. So these are, I don't know what could be in the chest, anything really. So feel free to open any you find. There's also these things called magic pots. If you actually rescue them from monsters and offer them an elixir, you actually receive hints of the location of some of this treasure, similar to the Happy Bunny system from Eureka then. So it's nice to see that return in a different way. There are currencies then, both of which are Enlightenment silver pieces. These apparently are primarily from your fates and critical encounters. And then you have a second type, which is Enlightenment gold pieces. This secondary currency is primarily acquired from defeating monsters out in the wild, just out in the wild anywhere. Yoshi P says, sorry we didn't prep this for a PowerPoint, but there's also the weapon enhancement story, and that content will also unlock with this field exploration, and those will be known as phantom weapons. They do say the first step will be some sort of drop when you clear some sort of content. That's all I'm willing to say at this time, end quote. So we do have a weapon series, a combat related relic tied to the Occult Crescent. There is also confirmation that you'll be able to do that without stepping foot in the Occult Crescent as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that entails, right? What different relic steps we have. Hopefully not just tomes. The update schedule for this content then is, as you can see, 7.25, the content releases. In 7.4x, new phantom jobs will be added. In 7.5x, they will have new phantom jobs as well as a new second instanced area. And also in 7.5x, with this new area will also come a new dungeon, much like the Fork Tower. So we're getting 2 Baldessian Arsenal-style dungeons in this content over the course of the expansion. Very exciting, personally, for this. This is the glam, then, that you can get from Crescent. These look amazing. The first one is this beautiful outfit with these tights. This is all glamour stuff. It's confirmed to be, so hopefully there's no level requirements on this or job requirements. It doesn't look like there will be. This is beautiful, isn't it? Then we have this Xenos type outfit, kind of, I don't know, bit Garlean, isn't it, really, in places? I quite like that in some way. Then we've got this nice, simple, almost this kind of Medicus sort of set that you would get from PvP. Very simple, but I like that. And then we've got this beautiful wolf outfit for all of the people out there that want a wolf costume. Yeah, there you go. That's for you. And then we have what I can only describe as a blue admiral outfit. This is kind of like seafaring admiral outfit. This bright blue. It's a thing. And then some robed outfit with a coned hat that I thought we'd done away with coned hats, but apparently not. They make a return. So whether you like that or not, I have no idea. There's also another glam they show here. They say we're not going to tell you where this is from. Okay, this set then worn by a Vieira, looking like an evolution of the Craftsman set, in my opinion. I really like that top. Can't wait to see where that's from. It looks a bit craftery, doesn't it? Not sure. Maybe that's from the moon? I don't know. Now we go in game and look at some new mounts and minions. First, then, Minions is a doggy minion. It's a beagle, isn't it? Absolutely adorable. I think that's cute. I can't wait to collect that. Then we have a weird pink creature, which I don't know. I have no idea. I think I'll leave it to Fran to describe this one.
Is that a pink Grinch? What is that?
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Then we have a fish with like a balloon or something. Kind of looks like a Pokemon, doesn't it? Honestly, like Gen 4 or something. Then we have a burb minion, which is a lovely white dove, which sits on your head. That's rather cute. Then we have a Breeskin of Cute Justice, I guess, as a type minion. I think it's an oppressor, right? Maybe it's Cute Oppressor or something. No idea what that is. And then a robot Scoopy Boy, which is clearly from the Cosmic Exploration. If you saw the trailer, there's something full size that looks like this, like a digger. And I guess that's the minion version. Now on to mounts then. This is where it gets really interesting. We've got a demon brick mount. You poke your little legs out the bottom and have a demon face. You become one with the brick. This is likely from the Forked Tower, as we saw in the trailer, a boss that was a giant red demon wall. It's pretty much the same thing. It's pretty great, isn't it? We need that in our lives immediately. And then, to everyone's surprise, they actually introduced the car from Solution 9. You might have remembered that low-resolution, low-poly car on a turntable. It's finally in the game, and it looks a lot better than it does in Solution 9. It looks incredible, in fact. When it takes off, it transforms. It's like something from Back to the Future. It has its own little background music that I couldn't tell what that was at the time. It's got unique music. And yeah, it looks pretty great, doesn't it? Honestly, quite happy that's in the game. Then we have this black mech suit from Cosmic Exploration, which presumably is from your roulette wheel in Cosmic, your lucky Laporit thing, which is pretty cool. Then finally, we have, of the normal mounts, a massive airship. This thing looks like it's a multi-person mount. Hopefully this is from the Raid series, but I'm not sure how it would tie in. It's bloody gorgeous though, isn't it? Kind of looks like the Bismarck or something. You know, we've got that front there. It's bloody gorgeous. It really is. It's huge. It has to be like an 8-person mount or something, maybe 4-person, but I'd prefer if that was an 8-person mount personally. And finally, then we have a wing mount that very similar to the other ones from a new Extreme Trial of Zerania then, which is Beatrix, which is red wings. This gives you a cape and a blade when you take off, and also has a fantastic Final Fantasy IX background music to go with that. Looking pretty special. Now we take a quick look at the new sprint jog system. So if you're sprinting, When it ends, you get a jog buff. This will not happen during battles, they say, but you can cancel this infinite jog if you like by dismissing the buff. It will also remove itself when you enter a combat situation, but there are no confirmations if this happens only in certain areas, because they were in an open area of the world near the Society Quest area here, and the jog buff didn't disappear. It was just there. The only time it disappeared was when Yoshi P dismissed it. So whether or not they're showing this off as like a GM command just to demonstrate this, or if this really is going to happen everywhere in the world, I don't know. But maybe until we get confirmation on that, it's unfair for me to speculate. But if that is usable anywhere, that is a huge change to the game. Holy moly. Much like the mounting whilst moving. Very cool. And here is then the patch schedule for 7.2. So the 25th of March is 7.2's release. Then the April the 1st release date of Savage. Then we have April the 22nd is 7.21, where we receive the Cosmic Exploration debut. And then on May the 27th, we get 7.25. 7.25 releases the Occult Crescent, as well as the new Allied Society quest for the Mamuljar, as well as Hildebrand all at once. So we've got a pretty packed next couple of months for the 7.2 series, and I'm personally very excited for all of it. Moving on to announcements then, which is actually quite interesting. There's new merch that launches on the 31st of March. This includes new loungewear, bags, plushies, keyrings, and much more. Yoshi P and Foxclon try to demo the Chocobo and Moogle outfits here, which are onesies, which is rather hilarious. There are also headbands for Spriggan, Fat Cat, and we saw Chocobo as well. Maybe there's a Moogle one somewhere. But very cool stuff. Yeah. I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but a lot of people are eyeing up those onesies, and I can't wait to see people go and purchase those. Next up, we have this then. This is with Novel Keys, a collab. You can get keycaps, as well as a new mouse mat, as well as a full customized keyboard from Novel Keys. This actually looks amazing. This retails, if you go to Novel Keys website, which I'll link in the description because their link didn't work for me, for $195. The mouse pad is $30, and the Final Fantasy XIV Eorzean keycaps, if you want to buy those separate, will cost you $110. I personally couldn't resist. I need a new keyboard anyway, so I dropped my $195 gulp. But it looks pretty good, honestly. Their website's pretty nice, and they've got some other good stuff on there. Definitely worth a visit. Link in the description. The Final Fantasy XIV cross with Isatan, I think that's how you pronounce that, special collaboration 2025. This goes live on Wednesday the 26th of March, where you can get some whiskey for Heidelin and Zodiac, if you like your whiskey collections, as well as some cool t-shirt designs here, such as the one that Foxclon's been wearing this entire time, included in that collab. Apparently there's a line collab continuing in Japan with more stickers, so if you're into line stickers, there you go. And the Primal's Dark Decades tour begins, as well as some new merch and tickets with links on the screen there. The sweepstakes for the Instax collab is still underway, where you can get some cool stuff. It is an X collab, however, you have to have an X account to take part, so bear that in mind. Some of you don't like that, but we did previous videos talking about that. They're also hiring Final Fantasy XIV staff. There are QR codes if you want to apply to be a member of the Final Fantasy XIV staff, which is amazing, so definitely give that a go if you feel up to it. And as usual, they'll be doing their patch note reading on the 24th of March, just before the release date of the patch, and that means that the patch notes will probably be on the Sunday night / Monday morning. And that's it for the live letter. I personally enjoyed every minute of this broadcast. I'm even more hyped for 7.2 if that's possible than I was before. And yeah, let me know what you're most excited for. Does the Occult Crescent ring your bell? Are you a little bit upset that there's such a gap between the content that it's spread out over? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video. These videos take a while, so I appreciate your support. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.